talking about how they got the officers to sell weapons. Tell me more about
You already know on those different chat rooms, everything, they let them know exactly how they could get in touch with my uncle.
that.
So when you're talking about machine guns, you do have to go to the federal regulation because there's been an outright ban in the United States since 1986. No one can have access to them. The one exception is official government use. So they go to federal regulators, but all you need is a letter. It's functionally a permission slip. A police chief signs a letter saying, I need this for department use. So there's literally do-it-yourself videos on social media explaining there's online web forums, and it just comes down to relationships. There's some guys who said, I know a police chief, I know a sheriff, I know a SWAT guy. They just take turns signing these letters for me, and they make it like it's all for fun. Some of these guys just think it's fun to like literally mount it on an armored tank and just shoot it off into a field. And a lot of the guys is totally innocent, and that's what they do. But the problem is there are cases where they've ended up in the hands of criminals. So they've ended up with drug traffickers, they've ended up with arms dealers. There was a case where a police chief, a mayor, and a town it was a member of the town council were trafficking guns and tactical gear to a Mexican cartel. There was a case just last year where they all ended up pleading guilty. It was 2 police chiefs, a sheriff, a Delta Force veteran, all conspiring together with a sanctioned Russian arms dealer, and they ended up in the hands of an international gun trafficker. Again, all of that ended up pleading guilty, so we know for sure that they were doing that. And then there was a case in the Northeast where it ended up being used in a fatal gang shooting of a 14-year-old boy who was just standing at a high school football game and accidentally got shot. So most of the cases don't end up in those egregious situations, but they certainly have and do. And these.
Yeah, I guess that was my thing too. Of course, when you're doing the story, you're talking about things like this. It's not to say that this is the overall way of how things are going down. 100% of the time, we're just honestly just trying to be accountable and say, damn, for the other instances when shit doesn't go the way that people planned it to go, those are what happens. People just end up losing their life, or the government guns end up on the street.
These are law enforcement officials.
And arguably, that's the whole reason why they're supposed to have these permission slips, because once they get out into the public, then they're uncontrolled, and then you don't know where they're going to go next. But I'm also seeing here that there's some former ATF agents that you spoke with that said that they were reluctant actually to charge these officers who sold the weapons. What's going on with that?
So we spoke to about 6 agents who were the lead investigators on some of these cases, and the officers themselves were the ones that, or sorry, rather the federal agents were the ones who were actually really frustrated with this. They wanted to bring these cases, but they each had an anecdote about how they'd had to go to the department they had caught doing this, who had been doing it repeatedly, almost like as a course of business, that